There are things mankind was never meant to know. Knowledge that seeps into the mind like poison, unraveling sanity, thread by thread. I didn't believe that once. I do now. It began with my great uncle, Professor Angel. He was a scholar of ancient languages and myths, respected, intelligent, and as I later discovered, deeply afraid. When he died suddenly in 1926, I inherited his papers. The doctors called it heart failure, but the police noted that a dark, foreign-looking man had been following him before his death. Among his possessions, I found something strange. A locked wooden box. Inside was a sculpture of something monstrous, an unnatural being with the body of a dragon, the head of a writhing octopus, and great leathery wings. It was grotesque, alien, and deeply unsettling. Alongside it, there were notes, papers filled with rambling descriptions, newspaper clippings and case studies, evidence that something impossible was happening all over the world. I should have stopped reading, but I didn't. 1. The Dreams of Wilcox. One name appeared repeatedly in my uncle's writings. Henry Anthony Wilcox, an eccentric young artist. My uncle had interviewed him about a series of terrifying dreams. Wilcox claimed that for weeks he had been haunted by visions of a vast, sunken city filled with black stone towers and unnatural angles that made no sense. In his dreams, he heard a voice, deep, ancient, and inhuman, whispering, "Funglui muglunaf Cthulhu rulia wugahanagel ftagan." In his house at R'lyeh, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming. At first, my uncle dismissed him as a madman. But then something horrifying happened. On that same day, March 23, 1925, hundreds of others around the world began experiencing the same dreams. Sailors, artists, poets, and the mentally ill all reported the same visions of an ancient submerged horror rising from the depths. Some screamed in terror. Others fell into trances or hysteria. Some even died. It wasn't just Wilcox. Something had awakened. The second cult in Louisiana. Another file contained a police report from Inspector Legrasse dated 1908. He had led a raid deep into the Louisiana swamps where a violent cult was performing grotesque rituals. When the police stormed their hidden camp, they found human remains. Sacrifices left to a monstrous stone idol that matched the sculpture in my uncle's box. When interrogated, the cultists spoke in a language older than humanity itself. They chanted the same words from Wilcox's dreams, repeating them in a feverish trance. Legrasse managed to capture several cult members, but they gave only cryptic answers. They worshipped something ancient, something that slept beneath the sea, waiting for the right moment to awaken. One man, an old priest with wild eyes, whispered, "Great Cthulhu shall rise and the world will scream." The cult had existed for centuries, maybe longer, and they weren't alone. Legrasse found evidence that other groups, hidden across the globe, prayed to the same being, waiting for the stars to align. That was the first time the name appeared in writing. Cthulhu. The third, the doomed voyage of the Emma. The most chilling part of my uncle's notes came from the log of Gustav Johansen, a Norwegian sailor. His ship, the Emma, had been lost at sea in 1925. When it was found, Johansen was the only survivor. The rest of the crew had vanished, or gone mad. Johansen's written account was a nightmare. His ship had come across an uncharted island in the South Pacific, where a massive alien city of black stone had risen from the ocean floor. The city, Arilaya, was built with geometry that defied logic, with angles that seemed to shift when looked at. Then they opened something. Something woke up. A monstrous figure rose from the darkness, a being so massive it defied reason, covered in slithering tentacles, glowing eyes, and clawed limbs that could crush a ship like paper. Cthulhu had risen. The sailors ran screaming. Some dropped dead from sheer terror. Others lost their minds, collapsing in laughter or gibberish. Johansen and a few others made it back to their boat, but Cthulhu was coming. In a desperate act, Johansen turned the ship toward the beast and rammed it at full speed. And then Cthulhu broke apart like smoke. Not dead, never dead, but pushed back, forced somehow to sink once more into the ocean as the city collapsed around it. The sea swallowed Roulier whole. Johansen and his last surviving crew member fled. But by the time they reached safety, the other man had gone mad and died shortly after. Johansen never spoke of it again. I found his log months later, buried among my uncle's papers. By then, Johansen himself was dead, another accidental death that seemed suspiciously timely. 4. The final truth. I wanted to believe it was all nonsense. A chain of coincidences, myths, and hallucinations. But I can't. Wilcox's dreams, the Louisiana cult, the lost city rising from the ocean, Johansen's impossible escape. It's all connected. Cthulhu is real.